about USA basketball. That's right. Another win, or, well, the first win, but we do win a lot for the United States men's basketball team in the first game of the group stage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. How's it going, guys? My name is Andrew. We are known as Angle Fantasy Basketball, except we are not here to talk about fantasy basketball today because the Olympics are a special occasion. So we are here as Americans to cover how our country did. I am joined by my fellow Angle analyst, Mitchell. How are you today, dude?
Good man, ready to talk hoops and ready to talk Team USA.
So the USA took this one 110 to 84. So the starting lineup was LeBron James, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Drew Holiday, and Devin Booker. This is actually Steph Curry's first Olympics, which is always so surprising to me every time that I hear it. So this game started off as a real back and forth battle. Serbia was absolutely keeping stride with Team USA throughout the first half. And it was really in the second half where Team USA started to pull away, and that was primarily due to Team USA's leading all-time scorer, Kevin Durant, going 5 for 5 from three, shooting 88% from the field. So Mitch, what did you feel about that big, like, just momentum swing for Team USA? Obviously, KD was one part of that, but who else was helping out with the momentum swing to help us pull away from Serbia in the second half?
It was really like in the second half of or second part of the first quarter when Anthony Edwards and KD went into the game. Early into the first quarter, Serbia was up 10-2. Nikola Jokic was getting everything he wanted. He was facilitating, getting his teammates involved. And then it was until like the end of the first quarter where, Kevin Durant hit a huge three. He went, I think at that point was 4 for 4. They tied it up 20-20. And to end the quarter, Anthony Edwards hit a crazy alley-oop to really capitalize on that momentum. And then ever since that, Team USA has just been on a roll. Devin Booker was hitting threes. KD was almost borderline unstoppable. LeBron was getting to the paint. And whenever Nikola Jokic was, sitting, I believe they were minus 26. And whenever he was playing, the plus minus was, I believe, even. So, it really goes to show the merit that Nikola Jokic is a deserving three-time MVP. And he really carried Serbia. If his supporting cast was a little bit better, um, you know, perhaps they could have stayed in the game when he was resting. But ultimately, they just couldn't keep up with the amount of talent that Team USA had. And in the third and fourth quarter, they just really pulled away, and the game was over by the mid third.
Yeah, and there was some good shooting performances. In addition to KD, like we mentioned earlier, Devin Booker went 4 for 5 from three. Drew Holiday went 3 for 5. Steph shot over 40%, went 3 for 7. And Anthony Edwards also knocked down a couple of threes too. So, the shooting also started to really take over for Team USA, which then opened up the paint for us, which is when you really started to see a lot more dribble penetration from guys like LeBron and then a bit from Anthony Edwards too. So yeah, just great overall win because we really needed that momentum shift to pull away in the second half because Serbia was keeping it close throughout the first half. But we came back with a better adjusted game plan to deal with Jokic and the rest of the cast there too. So looking at the box score here, obviously a great performance from LeBron James, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. Typical LeBron James line. This is a Team USA that has a very unique look to it. Like, for example, it's really cool to see somebody like a Devin Booker accepting more of an off-ball role, just spotting up, being a good three-point shooter where he went 4 for 5 today. So someone who's more used to being a star, being accepting of a role, I think is a big reason why you're seeing Devin Booker start, even though he's someone that can have defensive limitations when he's in a larger role like he has in Phoenix. It's very interesting to see him be in more of a complementary role here, but he's damn good at it, that's for sure. Whereas there's other players that are more used to playing in a role like Drew Holiday, who also is in the starting lineup, as well as Derek White, who got 15 minutes off the bench. So, Mitch, for you in this game, obviously we are going to talk about Kevin Durant in a moment here, but was there any other performances in this game for anybody that stood out? We're also looking over here at the Serbian side. We, of course, got 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals for the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic. So how do you feel about just USA's performance today?
There's a lot of controversy surrounding Team USA, specifically on Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum is arguably, I say arguably, the best player of, this year's NBA champions. But he didn't play today at all. And you kind of go into why. It must be frustrating from Tatum's perspective, where his third and fourth options or even fourth or fifth options, if you include Kristaps Porzingis, are playing minutes over Jason Tatum in this Team USA uh, bout. So I thought that was very interesting, but at the same time, I understand it. Devin Booker is a better three-point shooter who can play off the ball next to, the likes of Steph Curry and LeBron James, and also Kevin Durant. Jason Tatum needs the ball in his hands. He's not the most efficient three-point shooter. So Steve Kerr, I don't agree with his approach on why Jason Tatum didn't play. I think he said something along the lines that he just forgot. I'm an idiot. I should have played him. No, I mean, I think Kerr should have just manned up and said, hey, this is LeBron James, Steph Curry's, and Kevin Durant's kind of like swan song. This is the last time they're going to be in the prime of their careers within the next 4 years. I'm just going to play our guys. We're going to lead the team, lead the Olympics, hopefully to a gold with these three core players. And in 4 years, Jason Tatum, this is going to be your team. But I don't like how he approached it. Um, so I'm a little iffy on it. Andrew, what are your thoughts on the whole Jason Tatum fiasco? Do you think he should have played over the likes of, like, let's say Derek White, Drew Holiday, or also over the likes of other wing players like Anthony Edwards, Bam Adebayo, or Kevin Durant?
Well, my first thought is that it produced some of the funniest memes we've seen in a long time in regards to NBA Twitter. Some of the content that was coming out about Jason Tatum. You and I definitely sent a couple of those back and forth to each other. So that was some good fun. But I think number one, going to your point, there's pretty much like a pecking order of seniority here. Like what we obviously need to remember about Olympic basketball is not only does it happen 4 times per year, but the USA is so stacked that there's guys that are just, unbelievable at basketball that aren't on this roster. Like for example, I'm not sure. I think a healthy Jalen Brunson should be on this roster, but there's other great American players that are not on this roster. Like somebody like Scotty Barnes could easily be, playing for Team USA in the future, but he's not on this roster right now. So there definitely is a pecking order of both seniority. Number one applying to, of course, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, three of the greatest players that this game has ever seen. But also, too, just sheer talent and adaptability for a role. Like, for example, like we talked about Devin Booker being in a perfect complementary role and somebody who a lot of Team USA fans want to start. Anthony Davis, we have to remember his rookie season, his first year out of Kentucky, Anthony Davis was brought to the Olympics with Team USA. He has been to each Olympics that he's been eligible for. So Anthony Davis has experience being here, and you have to wonder why he's not being started, especially not only because he plays so well with LeBron James, but he knows how to be in more of a role than somebody like Joel Embiid does, who obviously only played 11 minutes today too. Anthony Davis getting 8 more minutes than him and producing just an overall better line than Embiid did too. So that's one change that I hope to see. Do you agree with that? Hoping to see a bit more of Anthony Davis alongside the rest of the starters. Like, for example, role and adaptability wise, you can have LeBron and Steph do whatever they want. And then Drew Holiday, the now off ball shooting Devin Booker, and Anthony Davis complementing them.
Yeah, I 100%. LeBron James already has that chemistry with Anthony Davis, this past 4 to 5 years now. Anthony Davis is a great pick and roll player. He can roll to the basket, he could pop out for the occasional three. Joel Embiid needs the ball in his hands. He's going to stop the flow of the offense with Team USA that already has so many ball handlers and so much talent. It just kind of makes more sense for Joel Embiid to kind of just dominate in the second unit, similar to what Kevin Durant did. But let's think about this too. Kevin Durant is probably going to be implemented into the starting lineup once he gets a little bit more assimilated into the conditioning process and everything. But the thing about Kevin Durant, just like Devin Booker, just like Drew Holiday, just like Steph Curry, he could play off the ball. We've seen it, with that Golden State Warriors dynasty for or like 6 years ago now. Dang, time is flying. But anyways, like we can see like Kevin Durant's replacing perhaps Drew Holiday or Devin Booker, and then also I'd like to also see Anthony Davis replace Joel Embiid and kind of let Joel Embiid and Anthony Edwards just kind of cook with the second unit with like Derek White, Bam, uh, maybe Anthony Edwards who can play a little bit off the ball. Um, but with that being said, are you after this performance? Do you see any team outside the field that can contend with Team USA? I know South Sudan's in their pool. Um, do you think they're a legitimate threat, or do you think we have to go outside of the group stages and into the knockout rounds for some potentially barn burning performances with Team USA?
Well, I think we definitely just beat the strongest team in our group, which is Serbia. So not only do they have the reigning MVP, but there is three other NBA players in this team. They have Vasily Micic, they have Nikola Jovic, and then they have Bogdan Bogdanovic, the team captain too, and they're obviously their primary floor spacer. So there are some good NBA players that are playing for Serbia, and at least in this group stage, because obviously teams like Canada, France, and Germany are not in our group. I think that they are probably our strongest opponent in the group stage. Yes, South Sudan did give us a run for our money in our last game, so we're gonna have to see if that was kind of potentially a fluke performance on the part of the USA side in regards to that. I mean, one thing that's cool about just South Sudan in general, I know this doesn't have to do with Team USA, but the fact that Luol Deng actually is a huge financial supporter of South Sudan for like a lot of their equipment, practice facility time, all this type of stuff like airfare and everything. Luol Deng is really the main one handling that. If I remember correctly, he's one of those guys that's getting paid deferred money from a huge contract for a good amount of the rest of his life. I'm almost positive Luol Deng is within that category. So that's just kind of a fun fact that I learned today about that team, is that they really are carried by the financial backing of South Sudan, or of Luol Deng, to just be a functional Olympic team. But I think it will be coming when we're out of the group stages where the real matchups are. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is out there with France, but you and I were watching that game and talking about it with each other, and one thing we noted is that France doesn't really have great guards yet. Obviously, they don't have their Tony Parker anymore. They have amazing front court players and a couple of good wings too, but not really great guards to lead the team. And we saw how influential that great guards can be. For example, when they were playing Brazil, help me out again. What's Marcelo Huertas? Marcelo Huertas, even though he's 41 years old, just having a true point guard on the team can go such a long way. And we saw Brazil kind of keeping stride with France for a little bit there too. So I think France is one true point guard away from being a very, very good unit that's going to be a problem for us, especially with their twin towers of Wemby and Rudy Gobert. That kind of rivals of like the old days of Spain when we had to deal with the Gasol brothers being on the same team. So that's worth noting. I think they're just one great point guard away. But teams like Germany and Canada, I think, are probably the two bigger threats to us. Canada being pretty well balanced. Maybe they do have a little bit of thinness in their center spot, but they're pretty well balanced all around besides that. And then in the reigning FIBA champions, Germany too has a pretty balanced team as well. So is that kind of where you're thinking as well too, that we'll probably see our main competition for one of those teams like France or Germany or Canada?
Yeah, to me, I don't think France has the guard play to match Team USA. I know, and also Team USA has the bigs, especially defensively with AD and Bam, to kind of balance against, France. But in terms of the biggest threat, I think it would be Canada, just because they can match that guard play. And also they're used to that NBA free flowing style and open space type of pace that matches with the United States. So they're not going to feel intimidated. They know what they're playing against, from a day to day basis. And they also have an MVP caliber player with SGA, rising stars like Andrew Nembhard, and some veterans like Jamal Murray. I think that's probably their biggest threat. Germany is also very interesting, just because for some reason, whenever it's international play, Dennis Schroeder becomes like a top 5 point guard in the league. Um, so you never know what you're going to get with Germany, because didn't Germany beat them last year in FIBA and actually took gold over there and won the World Cup? So You never know with FIBA play. International play is very different than the NBA. So don't be surprised just because last Olympics, albeit Team USA had the likes of like Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis, they were down like double digits in like the medal rounds against like France and even in the I believe semifinals as well. Ultimately, they came back and won gold. So don't be surprised. The field is growing stronger as we kind of move into more international prospects, being these top talents moving into future drafts.
Yeah, what we have to take note of is the field's growing stronger, but a lot of those teams are still pretty young, have a lot of guys under 30 years old. Whereas next Olympics, we are likely coming into that without Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. But of course, guys like Nikola Jokic, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, guys like that are still going to be around and still going to be in their prime. So this is something that's definitely going to be a big thing for us to deal with in the future Olympics, which is when we're going to need guys like Jason Tatum to step up when it's when it's more so their time when some of the big boys are no longer playing for Team USA. But what I'm hoping to see again is just more Anthony Davis, because obviously a big reason why a lot of these other teams are competitive with us is due to their chemistry, having all played together since they were really young, whereas the Team USA is kind of just like a coming together of a bunch of different mercenaries, basically a lot of just individuals that are brought together, but it's really the sheer talent that can carry us sometimes. But maybe more chemistry and balance to the lineup by bringing in somebody like Anthony Davis, and in addition to just the chemistry factor, just somebody who has more experience playing under FIBA rules. What you want is just to play guys with more Olympic and FIBA rule experience, because there's a lot of guys that have much more experience than that with others. So for example, more Kevin Durant and more Anthony Davis, especially since Kevin Durant is, the leading scorer in Team USA history. So make sure to like this video, leave a comment below. Let us know what you want to see happening with the rotation for Team USA next game. Who do you think Team USA's biggest threat is? Follow this channel if you are new, and we will catch you guys next time.